Hello, Facebook Live. I'm just starting you so that people have a chance to come on. And we'll wait for people on both platforms, Zoom and Facebook Live. Hi, Susan. Welcome. You're muted. I'll just... Hello. Hi, how are you?
Okay. Hey. Okay, well, I'm well, thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Good.
So now I will mute you again. Hello, Isabel. Welcome. So all you need for the practice this evening is some sort of pillow or blanket to sit on and that you can use behind your head, or if your knee needs extra support when you're on your hands and knees. So that's the only set of props that you will need to practice. I will say this several times, but it's a very windy early evening here, and so that may mean that an unstable internet connection is even less stable than usual. My apologies, and thank you for being present at. Hi Janice on Facebook Live. We're just getting settled and we'll be starting in a few more minutes. So you want to have a blanket or a pillow that you can use behind your head and to support your knee when you're on your hands and knees, if that makes your knees more comfortable. Hello, Liddy. Nice to see you. Hi, Kathy on Facebook. Yes, some delicious pauses, exactly. Thanks for letting me know, and the recording will be available on Facebook and also on YouTube. Hello, Joanne. Hi, Virginie.
So, Mona, again, I can't see you.
Yes, so it's a very windy evening here, and that is going to mean that the
Okay.
satellite connection is, yeah, looks like I'm also going on and off a bit on Facebook Live, so we're gonna do the best we can, and the video will be up on Facebook Live and on YouTube, and there are still some glitches in that, I believe, but it's a bit better. So we'll give people 1 more minute to get settled. As you're getting settled, you'll just need something to sit on, and either a small pillow for behind your head or a blanket, and also for your knees, to support your knees when we're on the hands and knees. Yeah. Take a seat and sit in whatever way is theme and the intention for our practice. And then full expression, full aliveness that we can bring into our yoga practice. So she invites us in a field of flowers, looks around and says, oh, maybe I shouldn't bloom because there's all these other that we're not showing our full expression. Full expression isn't necessarily the most that we can do, but it's the place where we can be fully present to find our appropriate, perfect, abundant expression of the pose, regardless of how it appears from the outside perspective. So it seems like I'm also frozen on Facebook. So I'm just going to keep going, and we'll hope that things continue to unfreeze and that you'll be able to get the majority of the practice coming through. So from your seat, now adjust. So turn your thighs in with your hands or so, and stretch the crown of the head up toward the sky so that you're in, and then away from the hand and the belly. Continue to breathe like this. Inhale from the chest and then the belly. Notice a little pause there. And at the end of this exhalation, join your hands together at your heart. And now we'll add sound to the full expression of the breath, sounding Om with the next 3 exhalations. So take a deep breath in. Release your hands, lift your head, gently open your eyes, and then come over onto your mat. Sorry, I'm gonna go to my mat. You're gonna just stand up. So stand somewhere on your mat where you can extend the arms out to the sides without interference. Place your feet hip width apart. Stand comfortably, so the feet more or less parallel, but not rigidly so. You can have a little turnout in the feet, but not a large turnout. And then letting your feet settle down into the earth. Take your arms to your sides. We're going to sweep the arms overhead and down, moving with the breath. The importance is that you just go through the range of motion that is appropriate for your shoulder joint, and not think that you have to move into a bigger range of motion. You're simply feeling what's available and enjoying that and recognizing the abundance in whatever range of motion is present right now. So with your arms at your sides, rotate the entire arms out so your palms face the sides. Exhale. And now as you inhale, slowly sweep the arms up overhead. As you sweep the arms overhead, let the shoulder blades lift to some extent, and then turn the arms to the sides, and exhale, slowly sweep the arms down. Move with your breath rhythm, turning the whole arms out. Inhale, take the arms up overhead, using the movement as an expression of the breath. Rotate the palms out to the sides when they're overhead, and then exhale down. Turn the whole arms out, inhale. Take the full breath in to bring the arms up to your maximum. And then rotating the arms to the sides, exhale, sweep them down. There's a little pause now at the bottom. And then rotate the arms. Inhale, sweep them up. Notice the little pause as you move into the maximum expression. And then exhale down. Maximum expression in this sweep. Let's do 2 more times. Last one. Once your arms are down at your sides, pause. And then step your feet right together so that the inside edges of the feet touch. You can have a little bit of space between the heels if it is uncomfortable on the inside of the ankle bones when you squeeze your legs together. Now inhale, stretch the right arm up alongside the right ear. Grab the right upper arm with the left hand and turn it slightly in. So you spin the tricep, the outside of the arm, toward your face. Then put your left hand back on your left thigh. Inhale, lift up, lengthen all along the right side. Get as fully expressed, as much length as possible there. And then as you exhale, lean over to the left. As you lean to the left, shift your hips to the right. Squeeze your legs together. And lean over to a place that allows the breath to still move fully and fluidly through the body, and especially along the right side. Now, as you inhale, press down into your right heel and reach your fingertips out away from you in whatever degree of position you're in. Exhale and soften into the experience. Inhale, expand it a little bit, and then exhale, soften into it. One more breath. Inhale, bring that arm back up, come back up. Exhale, the right arm down. Inhale, take the left arm up. Breathe here. Grab your left upper arm with your right hand and turn the tricep in. Stretch the arm up and really invite length all along the left side of the torso. Then putting the right hand on the right thigh. Inhale, squeeze the legs together. And as you exhale, side bend to the right. So shift your hips to the left, lean to the right. Breathe. So instead of thinking, how can I go further? Think, how can I allow a full expression of the breath to move through me in this position? Notice the inhale and press down into the left heel and stretch out through the left fingertips on the inhale. It's just a bit of an expansion. And then as you exhale, soften. Feel into the full expression of the position of the pose of your body, forming the shape. And then inhale up, exhale, that arm down. Interlace your hands behind your back. With your hands interlaced, bend your elbows And with the elbows bent, press the elbows straight back toward the wall behind you. So for some of us, that means that we squeeze the elbows a little toward each other, but for others, they're already in quite far, so we can even separate them a little bit as we press them back toward the wall behind you. So as you press the elbows back toward the wall behind you, lightly move the top of the upper arm bones back. Press the shoulder blades into the upper back. Take the head back a little bit and feel the curl of the chest so that there's width and lift across the upper chest. Breathe into that space. Inhale, little pause. Exhale, little pause. And then with your next exhalation, keeping the width across the chest, release your arms. And then we'll do the same thing with the opposite interlacing of the fingers. So you're going to rotate all of your fingers so that the opposite thumb is on top, behind your back. Again, with the elbows bent. Press the points of the elbows straight back toward the wall behind you. Move the top of the upper arm bones back. Take the head back. And feel the shoulder blades press lightly forward into the upper back. And how that supports the lift of the upper chest. As best you can, invite the breath now to expand through the upper half of the chest. Inhale, little pause. Exhale, little pause. 1 or 2 more breaths. And then keeping that lift, so without letting the shoulders roll forward, just release your hands. And if you're not forward at the short edge of the mat, step forward now. Place your feet hip width apart. Bring the outside edges of your feet parallel the long edges of your mat. Take a deep breath in, standing forward bend. As you exhale, fold from the tops of the legs. Bend the knees as you need to and come all the way over, touching the fingertips to the ground. Take a breath or 2 here. So with the knees bent, lightly push the heels apart. As you press the heels apart, scoop the low belly away from the tops of the thighs and extend the crown of the head toward the earth. So we're going to hold the elbows. So now, grab the elbows with the opposite hand. And then with the knees bent, for most of us. So if you have a lot of availability in the forward bend, you could keep your legs straight here. Otherwise, just bend the legs. Lift the elbows a little bit away from the ankles. And reach the elbows down toward the ground, lightly lengthening the size of the torso. Breathe into the size of the body. And then release the elbows. Place the fingertips beside the heels. Straight leg lunge with the left foot back. So inhale, step the left foot all the way back into a straight leg lunge. Make sure your right knee is over your right heel. Lift the top of your left thigh up and shift your hips a bit to the left. Now, keeping the top of your left thigh strongly lifting away from the earth. As you exhale, soften by pressing the front heel into the earth and letting your hips descend slightly toward the ground. Keep the back leg strong and straight. Breathe. And then, pushing off with the back foot, exhale, step forward and fold over your legs. And then the second side, inhale, step the right foot back, straight leg lunge. Bring your left knee directly over your left heel. Lift the top of the right thigh up. And keeping the top of the right thigh lifting away from the ground. Softly, as you exhale, sink your hips down. Feel the rooting through the front heel. And press back through the ball of the foot, especially on the big toe side of your foot. One more breath. And then pushing off with your back foot, step forward again. Place the feet hip distance apart. Make sure the outside edges of the feet are roughly lined up with the long edges of your mat. Bend the knees again as you need to touch your fingertips to the ground. Push the heels apart. Scoop up the low belly. And fold the torso over the legs. So we're going to hold the elbows again, but with the opposite hand first. So grab the elbows. Let the weight of the arms draw length through the sides of the torso. So you're pulling space between each of the vertebrae of the spine and feeling length, especially from the top of the pelvis to the bottom of the ribs. Now as you exhale, draw the elbows in toward the ankles, folding over as fully as possible. Remember that the way we determine the full expression is that we can still breathe in a relatively full expression, so that we're feeling into the fullness of the breath and letting that guide the fullness of the embodiment of the pose. Bend the knees, release the elbows. One more time, straight leg lunge. Step the left foot back. Lift the top of the back thigh up. Press the back foot away from you. And make sure your front knee is over your front heel. Good. So now here, turn your left hand out. We're going to twist to the side. So simply keep your left hand down on the ground, but turn it out so that the inside of the elbow points more forward toward the short edge of the mat. Draw that shoulder blade away from your ear. Now pick up your right hand, twist the torso to the right, and stretch the right arm straight up in the air. Draw both shoulder blades away from your ears. And now, as you inhale, curl the upper chest toward the chin. See if you can feel the same degree of fullness in the upper chest as you did when your hands were clasped behind your back. One more breath here. And then sweep the top hand down. Push off with the back foot, step forward. Exhale. Second side. Inhale, step the right foot all the way back. Make sure your front knee is over your front heel and lift the back thigh up strongly. So hold yourself with the strength of the back leg. Turn your right hand out to the right. Draw the right shoulder blade away from your right ear. And then picking up your left hand, twist the torso to the left and stretch the left arm straight up in the air. Both shoulder blades away from your ears. And then without shifting the legs, as you inhale, curl the center of the heart up toward the chin. Little pause at the top of the breath in. Keep the lift even as you exhale. Little pause at the bottom of the exhale. Inhale. This time exhale, sweep the top hand down. We're going to step back into downward facing dog. Child's pose would be an option here if downward dog is not a good choice. So with the hands shoulder distance apart and the palms turned slightly out, step the front foot back. Separate your feet several inches apart. Ground the knuckles at the base of your first fingers and push the heels of the thumbs down into the ground. Spin the triceps toward the side of your face, just like you did before the standing side bend. And now pull your hips all the way back away from your wrists. Move your chest toward your knees. Press the tops of the thighs toward the wall behind you. And without rounding the back, descend the heels. Inhale. Exhale, bend your knees all the way down to the ground. And then grabbing a blanket for your head as needed, turn and lie on your back. So if you have a blanket or a pillow, you might want to use that for behind the head. We're going to do some ab work on our back. So lying down, bend the knees, place the feet on the ground. So this is beginning work for leg raises. So you're gonna lie on your back and tuck the tops of the shoulders underneath you. Have a little bit of space in the lower back, just for a moment. And now, very strongly, draw the low belly muscles so that it's the band of muscles from the top of the pubic bone to the bottom of the navel. Draw in toward the midline of the body and down toward the spine. Place your arms at your sides. Keeping the low belly down and breathing more into the upper half of the torso. Take the knees one at a time, just up over the hips. Flex the feet a little bit. Keep the low belly down and hold. As you hold, breathe. So if you would like to do a bit more, you could put the hands on the center of the thighs and create what's called an isometric contraction. Push the hands into the legs and the legs back into the hands. The other option is just to keep the hands at the sides. Couple more breaths. Inhale, exhale, feet down on the ground. Pause. We're going to repeat that a second time. So reposition as you need to. Draw the low belly in and down. So this might bring your lower back in contact with the ground, but you feel that the weight of the lower half of the body is still behind the pelvis. It's the back of the pelvis on the ground that is carrying the weight, not the vertebrae of the lower back. And then, arms at your sides. Keep the low belly down as you draw the legs up. So one at a time, lift the knees over the hips. So you're in a straight line from your knees down to your hips. Keep the low belly in. Breathe. Notice where the breath goes. So if you're keeping the low belly down, you're breathing from the navel to the collarbones. If you put your hands on your thighs the first time, you can do that for the second time. Few more breaths. This is working the deep layer of abdominal muscles, so they're very important. And then exhale and come down. They're important especially for our posture. So stretch the arms now out to the sides. We're going to work the obliques. It's a pose called in Sanskrit Jatara Parivartanasana. I don't know what the English translation is, but it's abdominal work. So with the arms to the sides, turn the palms up. Draw the knees toward the chest and squeeze the knees together. So this time the knees come a bit more over the chest, but you still have a slight curve or a slight hollow behind the lower back. Squeezing the legs together, turn the knees toward the right elbow. And now you're going to keep the left shoulder on the ground and exhale. Take the knees over just until the left shoulder wants to lift. But now pause there and keep the left shoulder down. Twist the torso from right to left and reach the left knee out as far as the right knee, so the knees stay stacked. Hold. And then inhale, lift the knees up. Turn the knees a little bit. You do a little swivel in your hips so the knees turn to look more toward your left elbow. Glue your right shoulder to the ground. And now as you exhale, take the knees over until just before the right shoulder tries to lift. So instead of going into a maximum position, you're in a place where you can hold. And in the hold, there's opportunity to breathe. So as you keep the right shoulder down, you can even extend out a little bit through the right fingertips. Reach the right knee out as far as the left knee, so the knees are staying in line. And twist the torso to the right. One more breath. Inhale, come up. Exhale, take a pause. We're going to repeat that a second time. So inhale, draw the knees to the chest. And capacity to do this with the legs straight. You can do the same thing with the legs straight. So legs straight or bent. Ground the left shoulder. Tip your knees or your toes toward the right arm. Inhale. And now as you exhale, take the knees over. So you're not necessarily going to your maximum. You're going to a place where you can hold and breathe. Squeeze the knees together and reach your left knee out. So it's the same distance away from you as the right knee. Keep the low belly back and twist the torso to the left. Now see if you can keep the same fluidity in the breath and take the knees just a tiny bit lower. Not a lot, just a little bit. Just to ensure you're in the full expression of the pose. And then inhale, come up. Other side. So turning the legs toward the left arm. Glue the right shoulder down. Exhale. Take the knees across to the left. Squeeze the legs together, especially squeeze the bottom leg into the top. Reach out through your top knee. Keep the low belly back and twist the torso to the right. Notice the full cycle of breath. Inhale, pause. Exhale, pause. And now for the last couple of breaths, drop the knees just a tiny bit further over. And then inhale and come up. Exhale, feet on the ground. Roll all the way over to your right side. You can move the blanket for the moment. And come and lie down on your stomach. Lying on your stomach, stretch your legs straight back behind you. Take your arms back by your sides. And either have your arms at your sides with the palms up, or interlace your hands behind your back like we did earlier in the practice. In whatever position you're in, scoop up the low belly and lightly firm the muscles of the buttocks. Lift the tops of the shoulders and the top of the upper arms away from the ground. If your elbows are bent, lift the elbows straight toward the sky without squeezing them in more than shoulder distance apart. If your elbows are wider, do squeeze them in to that shoulder distance apart position. So now we're going to lift the head and chest up. Exhale. Inhale, curl the head and chest back away from the ground. Lift the tops of the shoulders off the floor. And now lifting your hands off the buttocks if your hands are interlaced behind your back. Everybody reach the knuckles toward the heels, or the fingertips toward the heels if your arms are straight. Exhale, come down. If your hands are interlaced behind your back, change the interlacing. And then we're going to lift the head, chest up a second time. So lifting the top of the upper arms away from the ground. Scoop up the low belly. Firm the muscles of the buttocks. Exhale. And now as you inhale, curl the head and shoulders back away from the ground. Look forward. Breathe. And as you curl the head and chest up and even back, lift the corners of the mouth slightly. Breathe. And then exhale and come down. Place your arms at your sides. Bring your legs together. And walk your fingertips toward your heels. Now we're going to lift the head, chest, and the legs. If lifting the legs is not a good idea for your lower back, then just lift the head and chest again. Scoop back the low belly. Engage the muscles of the buttocks. Stretch the legs longer back behind you. Then lift the tops of the shoulders and the tops of the upper arms away from the ground. Exhale. Inhale, lift up everything. Head, chest, arms, and legs. Lift the tops of the thighs away from the ground as best you can. Draw the tops of the shoulders back. Curl the chest up. Lift the legs, lift the feet. Make your legs as strong and straight as possible. And then exhale and come down. We'll do that a second time as well. So scoop up the low belly. Firm the muscles of the buttocks. Exhale. And now as you inhale, lift the head, chest, and the legs. So this is also core strengthening. It's strengthening the core muscles in the back. And this in combination with the abdominal muscles keeps our posture upright, like the lotus flower moving through the water and reaching to the sky. And then exhale, come down. Take your left forearm in front of you, so your forehead on your left forearm. Now bend your right knee and draw your right heel toward your right hip. So option one is you can just stay here and use the strength of the leg to hold this position. Option two is you reach the right hand around behind you and you grab the ankle, or you can grab your pants or shorts or whatever. Well, not shorts, but pants. And then lightly, very lightly draw the right heel toward the buttocks. If your lower back feels this, as opposed to the front of the right thigh, then draw up the low belly and engage the muscles of the buttocks more. Some of you may want to lift the head and chest up as you do this. But we're really doing this for the thigh stretch as opposed to the back bending position. One more breath. And then exhale, release, slowly stretch that leg straight. Use your right forearm now to support the head. Bend the left knee. Reach back, catch the left ankle or hold on to your pants. Squeeze the left knee a little bit toward the right knee. And then lightly draw the heel down. Continue to pay attention to the breath. So you're moving with the breath as opposed to overpowering the breath. So what you might find is that as you exhale, you can bring the heel in a little closer. You might also find that as you inhale, the heel moves a bit away from you. So we want to develop that sensitivity to the breath so that we tune into the current experience of this moment as opposed to the mental image of what we think the body should be doing and what we think the full expression of the position is. For breathing and paying attention to the sensations, we're in the full expression. And that's where we find abundance. Very gently release that leg, stretch the leg straight, place the hands under the shoulders, tuck the toes under, downward facing dog. Separate the hands at least shoulder distance apart, go a little wider versus narrower if you're uncertain. Same with the feet. Hip width apart, a little wider if you're uncertain. Turn the hands slightly out and take the heels also slightly out away from each other. Now as you push your hands down into the ground and slightly forward away from you, pull your hips back. As you pull your hips back, engage the outer hips. Scoop back the low belly. Press the tops of the thighs toward the wall behind you. Descend the heels without rounding your lower back. And then look forward. Inhale. Walk the feet up to the hands. Bend the knees. Put your hands on your hips. Lift your chin. Inhale. Come up. Exhale. Turn and face the long edge of the mat. And then inhale. Feet really wide apart. Triangle pose. Here in triangle pose now, turn the left foot slightly in. Rotate the right leg and foot out. So take a moment and imagine that this pose is the culmination of all the poses that we've done so far. So with your legs set up like this, press the top of your left thigh back toward the wall behind you and push your left heel away from you. Anchor the big toe side of your front foot down and hug your front hip underneath you. Now inhale, stretch the arms out to the sides. Lift up a bit on the right side, and as you exhale, shift your hips to the left. Reach out to the right and take your right hand down to your shin or ankle. Lift the other arm up to shoulder height. If that doesn't work for your shoulder, place your hand on your hip. Now push your back heel away from you. Hug your front hip underneath you. Bring both shoulder blades away from your ears. And then lean the head back a little bit. And for the next few breaths, as you inhale, curl the center of the heart up toward the chin without drawing the shoulder blades up. Keep that lift in the pause, and then hold that lift even as you exhale. Feel the breath lift the chest so much that the low belly sits back slightly just on its own accord. And keep that lift in the chest even as you exhale. Now push down into both heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn the feet, release the arms. and then the second side. So turn the right foot in, rotate the left leg and foot out. Inhale, stretch the arms to the sides. Press the top of the right thigh bone back toward the wall behind you and extend the right heel out away from you. Plant the big toe side of your left foot and hug your left hip underneath you. Now lift up a bit on the left side, and then as you exhale, stretch out and down. Hold your shin or your ankle. Reach the other arm up. Breathe. Push your back heel out away from you. Ground the big toe side of your front foot. Scoop your front hip, your front buttocks underneath you more. And now lengthen the sides of the torso, bringing both shoulder blades away from your ears. Take your head back a little bit. And then breathe. Inhale into the upper chest. So you're lifting the chest so much that the low belly sits back. Hold a little pause at the top of the breath in. Exhale fully. Little pause at the bottom of the exhale. Couple more breaths. Push into both heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn the feet. Inhale, step the feet together, lower the arms. Extended side angle. Inhale, step the feet really wide apart. Turn the left foot in slightly. Rotate the right leg and foot out. Inhale, stretch the arms to the sides. And as you exhale, bend your front knee, pointing it straight over the middle toes of your front foot. Push your back heel away from you, and then drop your right forearm to your thigh, stretch your left arm up. Keeping your back heel heavy, push it out away from you. Anchor the big toe side of your front foot and point your front knee straight forward. Now bring both shoulder blades away from the ears just like you did before. And then curl the upper chest to the chin so that you're lengthening the front of the torso so much that the low belly sits back. You don't have to pull it back strongly. You're doing it because you're getting so much extension through the torso. So option 1 is to stay here. Option 2 is to take the right hand down to the inside of the right foot. In whatever position you're in, you're inviting a full breath. Inhale, lift the chest, little pause. Exhale, keep the chest lifted, little pause. And now push down into both heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, turn the feet, lower arms, and then the second side. Turn the right foot in. Rotate the left leg and foot out. Inhale the arms to the sides. Exhale, bend your front knee deeply. Left forearm to the thigh, right arm up. Breathe. Plant your back heel. Press your front knee straight forward over your middle toes. And then bring both shoulder blades away from your ears. Lengthen the front of the body, both the sides and the front, especially the left side, and the center line of the torso. Keeping that length, either stay here or take the left fingertips to the ground in front of your left heel. Keep the arms in this position so that you can bring the shoulder blades away from the ears and use that to help lift the upper chest. Inhale, little pause. Exhale, little pause. Couple more breaths. Now push down into your feet. Inhale, come up. Exhale, turn your feet. And then inhale, step your feet back together. Warrior one. Inhale, step your feet really wide apart. Bring your hands to your hips. Spin your back foot around about 60 degrees and turn your right leg and foot out. Move your right foot enough to the right that you can face the short edge of the mat, and very strongly turn your back thigh in. So you push your into the earth and out to the left. Then with the hands on the hips, lift the chest up, take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, bend your front knee. And as you bend your front knee, push your back heel down. Now, bow your torso forward over your front thigh. And as you do that, lift the top of your back leg away from the ground. Push your back heel down and turn the outside of the left hip more forward. Then, lengthen from the tailbone to the crown of the head. So the whole front of the torso is long. And then keeping that length from the front of the torso, bring the shoulders back over the hips. Feel the lift and the length all along the sides and the front of the torso. And either keep your hands on your hips or release your arms and inhale, stretch them up alongside the ears. If your arms are alongside your ears, they can help lift the torso. As you exhale, sink into your heels. And as you inhale, get as full an extension through the torso as possible, from the base of the pelvis to the crown of the head. Lift up. Exhale, sit down a little bit. One more breath. And then pushing into both heels, inhale, press your front leg straight. Exhale, turn your feet, lower the arms. And line your feet up. Change sides. So turn the right foot in about 60 degrees. Rotate the left leg and foot out. And move it over to the left. Now bring the outside of your right hip forward so you're facing the short edge of the mat. Put your hands on your hips. Inhale. Exhale, bend your front knee. Lean forward over your front leg. And as you do that, you have more capacity, or most of us have more capacity to the front of the back thigh up, away from the ground. Shift your hips a bit to the right and turn the outside of the right hip more forward. Now really strongly lengthen from the base of the pelvis to the crown of the head. So you're moving into the fullest expression of length in the torso as possible. And then as you inhale, keep that length as you bring the torso back upright over the hips. Either keep your hands on your hips, or if you stretch the arms up, again, stretch them along the ears. Plant your back heel, bend your front knee deeply, and then lengthen and lift. Lengthen and lift along the sides of the torso and the front of the chest. Feel the low belly naturally sit back, and then breathe. Inhale, curl the center of the heart to the chin. Hold that, and then keeping that lift, exhale. Hold the exhale just for the end of the exhale, just for a moment. Inhale, little pause. Exhale, little pause. One more breath. Inhale, stretch the front leg straight. Exhale, turn your feet. Lower the arms. And then inhale, step the feet together. Touch the big toes. Have a little bit of space between the heels. Chair pose, Utkatasana, sometimes also called powerful pose. So with the legs right together, have a little space between the heels. Inhale, stretch the arms up alongside the ears. If that's not appropriate for your shoulders, you just keep your hands on your hips. Now feel into your heels and bring all the weight back into the heels. Your toes might even lift a little bit. Pressing the heels firmly into the earth without letting the torso come forward for this version. Inhale, lengthen the sides of the torso, reach the fingertips toward the sky, and now as you exhale, sit straight down. So don't let the torso tip forward. Just bring your sitting bones straight down toward your heels. Lengthen the front and the sides of the torso so much that again the low belly sits back. And then keeping the buttocks firm and the sitting bones reaching down toward the heels, curl the upper chest toward the chin. If it works for your neck to lift the chin and look up, do that. Push into both heels. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, take the arms to the sides and sweep them down. Now we're going to do the twisting version of that pose, which means that this time we bring the torso more forward. So we're going to start again with the legs together. Inhale here, and as you exhale, bend the knees, bend the hips. Come all the way over so that you can touch your fingertips to the ground. Just keep the legs that deeply bent, and then put your hands on your knees. Squeeze your legs together, engage the muscles of the buttocks, but keep the weight back into the heels. And now as you inhale, lengthen the front of the torso, and as you exhale, hook the left elbow over the right knee. Bring your palms together. If you know that touching your left fingertips to the ground and sweeping the right arm up is an appropriate variation for you, do that. Now, squeezing the legs together, pull the left hip back a little bit so the left knee is not forward of the right one. Squeeze the outer hips in. Now lengthen the front of the torso and the left side. And as you exhale, twist the chest toward the thumbs to the right. Take your head back a little bit. Keep the shoulder blades away from the ears. One more breath. Inhale and wrap, stand all the way up. Exhale. Pause here. And then the second side. So inhale. Exhale. Bend the knees. Come over enough that you can touch your fingertips to the ground, but again, then once you're there, put your hands on your knees. Shift the weight into the heels. Squeeze the outer hips. Lengthen the whole front of the torso. Right up even to the chin, so the chin's just slightly lifted. And then as you exhale, hook the right elbow over the left knee and join the palms. Squeeze the legs together and pull lightly back. Use the hands pushing against each other to lengthen the front of the torso. Draw the shoulder blades away from the ears. And then exhale, twist the center of the chest to the left. Lift the chin just a little bit, as if you're taking a full drink of the pose. Last breath. Pushing into your heels, unwrap, stand up, exhale. Turn and face the short edge of the mat. Separate the feet, hip bone distance apart. Take a deep breath in, standing forward bend. As you exhale, bend at the knees. Fold all the way down, bend at the knees, fold the torso over the legs, standing forward bend. Take the heels out so that the outside edges of the feet are relatively parallel with the long edges of the mat. Lightly push the heels apart. Now bend the knees enough that you can put your torso right down on your thighs. Release the arms. Release the head.
So with the torso all the way over, you can hold the backs of your heels, ankles, with your hands lightly. And just lightly invite the torso to fold more fully, drawing the head toward the shins. So your knees are bent, unless you have the capacity to put your torso completely on your thighs with your legs straight. Feel the length here on the back sides of the torso and right along the back of the spine. Release the head completely. Now for the last breath or two, just press the legs a little bit straighter. And then exhale. Bend the knees, place the hands flat, and step one foot and then the other all the way back. Downward facing dog. Hands shoulder distance apart, feet hip width distance apart. Turn the hands slightly to the sides, but weight the knuckles at the base of your index fingers and the base of the thumbs down into the ground. Turn the outside of the arms around toward your face. And now as you push your hands down, pull your hips back. So you're using the muscles of the buttocks to pull your hips away from your hands. Feel the length on the sides of the torso. And as you pull the hips back, the low belly moves toward the spine. And it does that on its own. You don't have to pull it in. You're using the muscles of the buttocks and the work in the legs and the length in the torso to have the low belly sit back. And press the tops of the thigh bones strongly toward the wall behind you. And without curving the spine, press your heels toward the ground. Whether or not they touch is immaterial. One more breath. And exhale, drop your knees to the ground. Turn over, lie on your back. So we're going to do a variation of bridge that is a stretch for the diaphragm. So bend your knees, place your feet hip width apart. Take your heels out a little wider. So either have your arms shoulder height with the elbows bent and your hands in a loose cactus shape, or stretch the arms up overhead. Again, with the arms overhead, you just get a little bit more assistance for the length in the torso than if your arms are at your sides. So if your arms are at your sides and that's appropriate for you, just envision the extension from the base of the pelvis to the crown of the head with a little more intensity. So now, in whatever position you're in, lengthen the sides of the torso. If your arms are overhead, you can let the shoulder blades lift a bit toward the ears. And now feel the whole back of your rib cage and bring the entire back of the rib cage down on the floor without letting the lower back touch the ground. Now press into the heels and lift the hips just even a couple of inches up off the ground. It's not a big movement. Press the back of your rib cage down. Draw the low belly down toward the spine and lengthen from the base of the pelvis to the crown of the head. And if your arms are overhead, reach your fingertips away from you. For the last breath or two, draw the whole abdomen down toward the spine and breathe into the rib cage, feeling the breath in. Expand the rib cage side to side and lift the front of the rib cage up. Keep that through the pause, and then keep that through the exhale. Inhale, expand the rib cage out and up, keeping the entire abdomen down toward the spine. Exhale. One more time. Whole abdomen down. Inhale, widen the rib cage and lift it up. Keep that width and lift even through the exhale. And then come all the way back down. Release your arms to your sides. And notice your breath. Make fists with your hands and tuck the fists right up against the outside of your hips. So really the outside of the buttocks. And then walking the feet perhaps a little closer to you or perhaps a little further away from you. Open your knees to the side and bring the soles of the feet together. So the outside of your hips are resting on the fists. Lightly press your heels together. Extend the knees away from each other. And then take a couple of full cycles of breath. Inhale. Little pause. Exhale. Little pause. One or two more times. Recognizing that when we settle into the full expression of the breath, there's an innate slowing down that allows us to take in all that is present and prosperous and abundant in our lives. Even in moments where there is contraction or constriction present, there is still on some plane something that is abundant. Now squeeze the knees back together. Release the hands. And we're going to do the diaphragm bridge one more time. So take the arms into whatever position you are in. Arms overhead or in the cactus-y position. Bring the back of your rib cage to the ground, even up the pelvis. And then pressing your heels down, lift your hips up. It doesn't have to be a big lift. And keep the entire back of your rib cage down on the ground. Press the knees away from you a little bit. Firm the muscles of the buttocks to hold your pelvis in the air. Stretch the crown of the head away from the base of the pelvis, feeling the low belly sitting down. Breathe. Now here, again, hollow the entire abdomen. So the navel draws back toward the spine. And then inhale, expand the rib cage out side to side and lift it up. Hold that through the exhale. Inhale, widen the rib cage, lift it up. One more breath. And then exhale, drop the hips. Pause for a moment. One more bridge pose, regular position. So tuck the shoulders under. Have your arms at your sides or hold on to the edges of your mat. Push your heels down into the earth. Lift your hips way up. Tuck the tops of the shoulders underneath you. And now as you push into your heels, lift your hips up. And as you push into the heels and lift the hips, curl the chest toward the chin. Lengthen the back of the neck. Keep tucking the tops of the shoulders underneath you. Turn the upper arms out. So if your arms are at your sides, the palms face up. Lift the hips up high. And then exhale all the way down. Roll all the way over to your right side and sit up. We have a guest. So, a seated cross-legged forward bend. So with the legs crossed, if this isn't appropriate for your body, you could do child's pose. So with the legs crossed closer together, the feet a little wider apart. And then with your hands, turn your thighs in. Keep the low belly slightly back as you extend the crown of the head up toward the sky. And then with your fingertips in front, exhale, come forward some amount. So if you have a lot of sensation in the upright position in your hips, then you want to stay here and breathe. If you feel any discomfort in your knees, this is not the position for you. So if child's pose is not an option for your knees either, then you could sit on a chair or a bed or something that's close by and fold the torso down over your thighs in that position. So wherever you are, squeeze the knees a little bit toward each other. Walk the hands out. And as you sink the tailbone toward the earth, the sitting bones toward the earth, and keep the low belly lightly back, stretch the crown of the head away from the base of the pelvis, feeling the length here on the sides and the back of the torso. And then walking the hands back in, inhale, come on up. Exhale, change the cross of the legs. Turn the thighs in. So if you're in child's pose or one of the other options, then you're just staying as you are. Squeeze the knees together. So your knees are not that much wider than the outside of your hips. As opposed to a very wide-kneed forward bend, you want to have the knees compact. And then keeping the low belly back, take the fingertips in front, and to some extent fold forward. It's less important again how far you go, and it's more important that you're attending to the breath. And here, invite the breath to move in the back of the body. So feel the back of the rib cage move away from the spine as you inhale. Little pause at the top of the inhale. And then exhale. Soften. Relax. Inhale into a fuller sense of being yourself, like that you're taking up more space on the inhale. And then as you exhale, you don't contract, there's just a softening. One more breath. And then walking the hands back in. Inhale, come up. So we're going to do a breathing practice before we lie down for relaxation. So you can do this breath either lying on your back, or you can do it seated if you're comfortable sitting, meaning that you have the capacity to have length through the torso while you're sitting. If not, perhaps lie back down on your back and have a blanket or a pillow or something to support the back of the head. This breath is called Brahmari breath, and it's making a buzzing sound, like a buzzing bee, on the exhalation. And it's a way to invite a fuller
exhale, and then naturally a fuller inhale. So we tune into the fullness of the breath. And also Lakshmi is the goddess of the natural world and of the abundance that we see in the natural world. And so this breath seems particularly fitting for her, as I imagine bees going around to all the different plant life that's available to them, collecting pollen. And so we're tuning into the bees, and this breath also develops our intuitive capacity and calms and centers the mind. So it's simply that you make a nasal buzzing sound on the exhale, keeping the lips slightly parted so that the buzzing doesn't create an uncomfortable vibration in the lips. And the buzzing sound naturally lengthens the exhalation slightly. So you don't have to make that happen, it just happens. And one of the ways that you could think of this breath is like the M of the Om sound stretched out as much as possible. So I'll demonstrate once. So it's simply, you're gonna close your eyes, and again, whether you're lying down or you're seated, in a moment we'll do a few rounds. So you're going to take a deep breath in, and then create the sound on the exhale. It will sound like this. And so on until the breath dies away. So we'll do 3 rounds. So you'll take a breath in, exhale, create the sound. When the sound ends, you'll inhale again, exhale, make the buzzing sound, and then a 3rd time. And from there, we'll lie final relaxation. So one last thing about the sound, as best you can, you want to create evenness of sound as opposed to or where it trails kind of off and gets choppy. We want the sound to be as even and consistent as possible through the entire sound. And Lakshmi is the goddess of maintenance. She keeps things sustained and maintained. And so we want to maintain that evenness of sound on the exhale. So with the eyes closed, and if you're seated, you could place the palms up or down on your lap or on your thighs. And if you're lying on your back, you could have your arms to the sides, or you could bend the elbows and place the palms on the torso. Wherever you are, just lengthen a little bit. So the people seated will lift the crown of the head up toward the sky. And if you're lying on your back, you want to just lengthen the back of the neck a little bit. Everybody slightly drop the chin toward the chest, just a little bit, so that the front of the throat relaxes. And then with the eyes closed and the jaw completely released, so that there's space between the back teeth. And there's also a little space in the center of the lips. Tune into the natural breath for a couple of cycles. And then we'll begin with the next exhale. So take a deep breath in. Natural inhale. Once you've finished your third, notice the impact. And if you're lying on your back, simply settle even more for the final relaxation. And if you've been seated, and come onto your back and settle yourself so that your body can release completely into gravity. So take the feet about as wide as your hips and let them relax slightly open to the sides. Take the arms a little bit away from the sides of the body and rotate the arms so that the palms face up. If it's more comfortable for you in any way to have the elbows bent and the palms on the torso, that's another option. Eyes, and especially release all of the muscles of the face so that the jaw stays relaxed, the lips are soft. Soften the eyes and relax the muscles across the forehead. Relax the center of the palms of the hands. Belly. Soften the soles of the feet. And let your body give in completely to the gravitational pull of the earth. As the body settles, you might notice that there is a sense of expansion, that you take up more space, that you naturally move into a fuller expression of yourself. And whether or not that's happening, invite yourself to rest in the fullness of you. So that in no part of you do you have to contain or constrain yourself. And instead you can release into all that you are. And recognize that it's from that place of relaxed, expansive softness that we can take in the abundance present on all planes of existence. Physical, the material, urethral, spiritual, everything in between. Rest there. And then without closing off or making yourself small, contracting in any way, take a slightly deeper breath in and then out. And with the slightly deeper breath in next, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Move your feet and your hands. And then eventually stretch out as if you were just waking up. And then bending the knees and supporting the head with the right arm as needed. Roll all the way to your right side. Pause there. And then using your left hand, press yourself up and come to sit. And then sitting well, join your hands together at your heart. And in gratitude for the abundance and prosperity present on some level, even in moments of contraction or constriction. We'll close with one Om. Exhale. Take a deep breath in. And gently bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. Lift your head. Thank you. Thank you, Facebook.